Korean media has taken the Western world by storm. From the inconceivably viral Gangnam Style, a true cultural reset, to K-dramas, Squid Game fever, and even skincare, South Korea is at the top of its game when it comes to exporting content for the masses to consume. But at what cost? We already know that the K-pop industry is brutal. There's even a term for it, noye kayaki, aka slave contracts. Artists are put under extreme pressure, forced into image maintenance so intense it often leads to breakdowns, eating disorders, or worse. They're not just selling music or stories or even themselves, they're selling a version of humanity that isn't allowed to be real. And this all got me thinking, because the other night I was watching a film called The Age of Shadows. Great film, by the way. I had no idea what was going on, but I was watching it for the plot. And it hit me. What does it do to a person to be so constantly performative that you start disappearing inside your own image? Many of these K-stars we love, and first over, let's be real, have become something Baudrillard would call a simulacrum. Jean Baudrillard was some old French philosophizing dude who yapped and smoked a lot, by the way. So basically me. So in this video essay, I'm not just ranting, I'm doing a breakdown of how the K-entertainment industry built a flawless, poreless export by stripping performers of real life, real agency, and sometimes even the will to live. But mostly this is just a rant. I'm going to jump the gun here. Yeah, I'm going to shadow box, as always, fighting off my inner demons and preemptively fight off any criticisms of, where, typical moralizing Westerner. Yeah, I know. I do moralize. I'll admit, Westerners do moralize a bit too far sometimes, but I do. I complain about things. Look at my entire channel. My entire channel is just me complaining about things. I'm constantly throwing metaphorical shit at Western culture and Western things and Coho and Penelope Douglas. South Korea isn't exempt because you're a Korea boo, because let's face it, it's going to be Western Korea boos who get up in arms over this. But it's not exempt because you're a Korea boo who wants to call Gongyu your hyung or oppa. Oppa. I am so sorry to any Korean speakers. I'm so sorry. Anyway, moving on. If it's moralizing to point out when systems are so unethical that people regularly die as a result of it, so be it. I'm moralizing. Part 0. How did we get here? This hyper-curated K-idol system is a modern invention. South Korean media used to be messier and less managed. After the Korean War, the country experienced rapid industrialization and media was heavily censored for decades. The entertainment boom only really began in the late 90s and 2000s, what we now call the Korean Wave, Hallyu era. Anecdotally, for me, in my time, it was in the 2000s when Gangnam Style went so viral. People in Weatherspoon's pubs were singing Gangnam Style and doing the dance. It was unheard of. It was like we'd never seen anything quite like it before, and we loved it. And I really think that is what broke the barrier for, well, at least my little place in England. Earlier Korean acts like Seo Taiji and Boys or first wave dramas weren't totally PC. There were scandals. They were still allowed to be human. But then it went global. And as Korea became a soft power super exporter, the industry tightened its screws. Idols became products and purity became PR. For some historical context. Disclaimer, not a historian. Confucianism. Confucianism was introduced to Korea from China during the 1st century, growing in influence in the Goryeo dynasty and becoming the official state ideology during the Joseon dynasty in 1392. Confucianism, to sum it up in one sentence, is about the value of playing your societal role and respecting others to be able to live in a cohesive community. It is a moral duty to obey rules, respect your elders, and put your group before yourself. Kind of just sounds a bit like Immanuel Kant and the categorical imperative. Why is he always on my mind? He lives in my head rent-free. Modern Korean culture is still heavily influenced and underpinned by Confucian values, hierarchy, emotional restraint, and respectability. In this context, Chaemyeon, the importance of maintaining public face, becomes everything. In Confucian society, shame is collective. If you mess up, you don't just shame yourself, you shame your group, your company, your entire bloodline. That's where yum-chi, an internalized moral shame, kicks in. You're meant to feel it before anyone else even calls you out. The demand for a flawless image is cultural, historical, and internalized. By the way, obviously not saying Confucianism is bad, simply pointing out that it is different from Western individualism. It's called giving context, so calm your tits, all right? Part 0.5. Simulacra and the vanishing self. K-idols, especially the most famous ones, are no longer people in the traditional sense as we know it. They're simulacra, highly curated images that simulate being a person. It's not real, but we fall in love with these holographic versions of them, filtered, retouched, eternally grateful, infinitely modest, non-threatening, and available for parasocial intimacy 24/7. Baudrillard yaps about how signs, like media images or performances, slowly stop representing real things. First, they imitate reality. Then they start to distort it. Then they pretend to be reality. And finally, they become pure simulacra, copies with no original, just self-sustaining illusions. It's like his 4-step program. Think of it like Instagram filters. At first, they just enhanced what was already there. A little Paris smoothing filter to cover any pores, even out skin tone, no big deal. But then they started distorting reality. Filters can now change your entire face shape, nip and tuck a chin, shave a jawline, make your nose into a button. Now, people are literally getting Botox and fillers to look like the filtered versions of themselves. It's a snake eating its own Botox tail, a perfect Ouroboros of image-chasing image until no one remembers what was real in the first place. There's a great bit in 28 Years Later where, spoiler alert, just, skip ahead 20 seconds, this Swedish dude is showing the kid who's been living in the 28 Years Later universe a picture of his girlfriend, and she's got a face full of filler and really big blown up lips, and the kid goes, "Oh, what's wrong with her? Did she have she reminds me of a girl in my town who had an allergic reaction from eating shellfish and her face all blew up." I feel like it ties in somehow. Leave me alone. Anyway, that's what K-idols are now, a simulacrum. The smile is part of the brand. The Instagram story is managed by staff. The candid moment was approved by 5 different people. Their moments of vulnerability are staged in consumable, profit-driven ways. Their entire existence is filtered through corporate lens and cultural expectation until you're not seeing a person, you're seeing a product performing personhood. And when one of these simulacra breaks down, when they cry or get caught dating or do something human like smoke weed, like God forbid a guy has hobbies, people treat it like the Matrix has glitched. Because it did glitch. The perfect illusion broke. And people don't like being reminded that what they love isn't real. And because these simulacra are so real seeming, any deviation feels like a betrayal, not simply a human moment being caught. That's the real dystopian horror. They aren't allowed to exist beyond the image. So let's do a deep dive into the unrealistic standards of the Korean media industry and how, spoiler alert, we're all a bit complicit. Even me. Perfect me. Part 1, the polished prison.
And what was the training schedule like?
For us back in the days, very strict. Wake up like 5, head to the studio, practice. If you're late a minute, you have to kneel on the floor and you have to sit in the corner, like time out. And you'd go back home like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and then you just repeat that throughout the whole week. It's a lot better now. That's what I hear. But back in 2010s, 12s, it was like at its peak era of like, you have slave contracts. It's just so shady, but getting like the backhand of that just did something to me. So
It's a grueling, pretty like intense process.
it's oh man, I thought it was inhumane, but but that's literally the life that trainees live.
To become a K-idol, you don't just train, you're engineered. Most start between ages 11 and 16, juggling school with 12-hour schedules of dance, language, voice, and persona construction. There is no guarantee you'll debut and become a star. You could train for years and still get dropped. Sounds like a waste of time, mate. Like, imagine if you just spent that time doing literally anything else. Dating? Banned. Food? Monitored. Some contracts even include clauses giving the company the right to strongly encourage or coerce you into getting plastic surgery. Do you know what? I've changed my mind. Sign me the fuck up. The companies cover your training, housing, and food and then trap you in debt, which is not very cash money of them. You're told you'll pay it off after you debut, but most don't. Only megastars like BTS and Blackpink actually earn what they're worth. Let me read you some quotes from a British Korean trainee who started training at the age of 10. 10! This is from a BBC News story. For brevity's sake, I have condensed some of the quotes. We had to live in the company building, only leaving for school. We were separated by sex. My parents needed permission to visit. If they turned up unannounced, they were sent away. We woke up at 5 a.m. for extra dance practice. After school, we trained until 11 p.m. There were no weekends. Holidays didn't exist. We weren't allowed to date. Everyone had to act straight, even if they were LGBT. Managers would text us at night to check where we were. If we didn't reply, they'd call and find out. We were sorted into Team A or Team B. Team A got dormitories. Team B, about 200 children, slept on mats on wooden floors. We were given numbers instead of names. I was told my face was too big. They wanted to shave my jawline. Weight limit was 47 kilograms regardless of height. There were weekly weigh-ins and your weight would be read out to the room. If you were over, your food got taken away. Some girls didn't have periods. People passed out from exhaustion and we clapped for them like, she's working so hard. My parents knew that training was difficult, but there wasn't really much they could do because I was under a contract and they were so far away. Most of the Korean trainees wouldn't tell their parents anything at all because they didn't want them to worry. I missed my old friends back in England, but I couldn't really keep in touch with them as instructors made us hand our phones in so we would focus on our training. I learned about the character behind my stage name, Dia. She was supposed to be very reserved, sweet and innocent. As the visual, I'd be expected to personify those characteristics. But Dia just wasn't me. I'm opinionated and loud. I doubted I'd be able to keep up with this docile personality in public. Someone senior there told me that as I was only half Korean, if I pursued an acting career, then the best I could hope for was a supporting role on a TV show. Even successful acts have to continue working to pay off all the debt incurred by training, and the new debt that builds up when you're an idol. It's actually really difficult to make money by being a K-pop star. Basically, it's an Orwellian nightmare. This trainee left when her contract came up for renewal and luckily had no debts to pay off as she'd fulfilled her part of the contract and hadn't debuted yet. This particular trainee was ultimately left happy that she didn't go ahead with debuting as a K-pop star as she gets to keep complete control over her own life. But others aren't so lucky and get into debt regardless of debuting or not. What she says reveals a lot of what we already know. Training starts young, including extreme diets and eating disorders. Image is everything. Must look attractive, sometimes with surgical enhancements, but act pure, chaste, virginal. Emotions and personalities are curated and the agencies control your life. Offhandedly, I remember there was a YouTube channel, I can't remember her name, but she spoke about how she was training to be a K-idol, and it was, I can't find the video, it was several years ago now, and she talked about how they would have to sneak out via the window to go out and have fun because the agencies couldn't know like what they were up to, that they were so hungry all the time and they had to like secretly order pizzas, and it was a very controlling environment. Even when idols do get their social media back, it's not actually theirs. Most aren't allowed to follow who they want. They can't like posts freely. Some aren't allowed to follow anyone at all. Go check the Instagram accounts of, actually don't worry, I'll put it on the screen, Gongyu, T.O.P., the two Lees, Wee Ha-jun. Basically just the cast of Squid Game, kind of airing myself out here. They don't follow anyone, bar maybe a management company here or there. I bet their burner accounts are wild. Like imagine the usernames to be at, this is definitely not TOP461. If I get a follow from an account like that, I will know the truth. Every action is managed, every online interaction is monitored. So whilst you're double tapping their selfies, no shade, I literally do this. I'm the problem as well. Thinking you're getting a glimpse into their real life. They don't even have control over who they follow back, lest there be some sort of scandal or fandom war. Perfection is mandatory. Part 2, the cost of the fantasy. Now, some of you may be thinking, so what? It's a bit strict. They knew what they were signing up for. Whereas I would argue you need your head checked. Because in what world is it acceptable to let pre-teens develop eating disorders for the slight chance of fame? But I digress. Actions have consequences, and there is very real consequences to imposing these harsh rules on young minds, and it's not as straightforward as burnout. Lee Sun-kyung, Parasite Coffee Prince, died by ending his life in 2023. He got into a scandal and the media shamed him over alleged weed and ketamine use, but no drugs were found in his system and drug tests came back negative. He still died of carbon monoxide poisoning after multiple interrogations, one even lasting 19 hours, due to the effect that this had on his image as the perfect family man and the relentless media smear campaign against him. Gu Hara was assaulted by her boyfriend, blackmailed by him with a revenge porn sex tape, hospitalized for internal bleeding due to the assault. The public blamed her. They hounded her, cyberbullied her for not being a chaste virgin due to the sex tape just existing. They even accused her of getting plastic surgery and bullied her for that too. Plastic surgery in South Korea. Quite frankly, it's unheard of, isn't it? She ended her life after being unable to deal with the unrelenting harassment, month after her friend Suli's Chae Jinri, former FX member, death due to depression and cyberbullying too. Chae Jin-sil, cyberbullied to ending her life. Her brother Chae Jin-young followed 2 years later. Jung-jae died by ending her life in 2009, left behind documents alleging she was coerced, exploited, and abused by CEOs and directors. The case was badly investigated and ultimately buried. Then there's Moonbin, Yooni, An Jae-hwan, Jun Tae-so, who all also passed due to taking their own lives from work stress, isolation, or media pressure. And Chae Sung-hung, my dear, dear Chae, also known as T.O.P., former member of Big Bang, one of the biggest K-pop groups of all time, was hospitalized in 2017 due to a benzo overdose, which was a suspected suicide attempt, after a marijuana scandal in which he smoked weed a few times in his house. Drugs are highly illegal in South Korea, but drinking yourself into high rates of stomach cancer isn't. Hey, England and South Korea have that in common, the drinking culture. So much so that even smoking weed abroad in a country where it is legal is grounds for prosecution back home if discovered. This is because you're still expected to represent Korea. Even if you're in Amsterdam, you're not allowed to smoke weed. After this scandal, the backlash from the public was immense and he effectively became blacklisted in the industry. Years later, he then gets cast in Squid Game Season 2.
수많은 이들 속 차지 않네 바로 잡초들 사이 활짝 핀 내 beauty flower. Bad you know, Chel, I'm a legend, Thanos.
And Netflix faced intense pressure and backlash for even giving T.O.P. a second chance. T.O.P. was noticeably excluded from the Korean Squid Game promotions. His face was even blurred out in a talk show segment as though he was a literal simulacrum glitch. But international audiences adored his character Thanos and embraced him. I love him. I love Thanos.
I don't know what the fuck are you talking about.
He even got 50% of the public's vote for favourite character in a survey of 700,000 Netflix viewers. All of this meant that he got to do a bit more promotion overseas. And you can visibly see that he's a bit shell-shocked that people like him.
이 오징어 게임이 정말 전 세계적으로 정말 많은 분들께 사랑을 받는 작품이구나라는 거를 다시 새삼 느끼면서 이 작품에 참여하게 된 것 자체가 너무 영광스럽게 생각되기도 하고 타노스의 밈자를 만들어주시는 팬 여러분들께 말씀드리자면 어떻게 만들어주셔도 감사한 마음으로 보겠습니다. 많이 만들어주십시오. 감사합니다.
His body language is a far cry from his previous confident stage persona. It's almost as if he doesn't know how to react to being liked again. People genuinely tried to destroy his life for doing something almost every teenager in this country does behind a Tesco's, except he was a grown man, and it still nearly killed him. Part 3. Fan complicity. Do you know what though? Scandals happen all the time. It's life, it's inevitable. But I think a key difference here is the reactions from the public. Pedro Pascal can say Free Palestine, and he might get a bit of backlash from zealots, in fact he has, but it doesn't affect his life or his work, not really. David Sutcliffe, aka Christopher from Gilmore Girls, the worst character, can be a red-pilled manosphere, Trump-supporting anti-vaccine celebrity therapist, and he still gets work, albeit maybe not as mainstream, but he still gets work. He's still about. There's still an unfortunate target demographic for him. Meanwhile, if a K-star likes the wrong Instagram post, wrong in quotations, everyone loses their minds. It's a scandal. Likewise, some might be opposed to drugs in the West, but celebrities are not losing careers or taking their lives over it anymore, not these days. I think it has to be a pretty extreme case for that to happen. And to clarify, I mean taking their lives over the scandal rather than, a drug-related psychosis, to clarify. If they do get into a scandal, it's typically women, Lindsay Lohan, Amanda Bynes, because you can't escape the patriarchy anywhere. But mostly nowadays, they just go to rehab and chill for a month and then it's business as usual. In fact, I'd go as far as to say with people doing drugs in the West, the concern is more over their health rather than a puritanical, oh, you shouldn't do that. For example, cocaine containing a lot of fentanyl now. I have spoken openly about my drug issues and being sober on this channel in the past, and I receive no backlash for it. In fact, sometimes some of you say that me speaking candidly about it has inspired some of you to try a more sober way of living, which, thanks. It's still you guys doing the work, though, if you are choosing to do that. It's still you doing the work. Like, I don't really know how to handle it, to be honest. Because I'm just living my life sober one day at a time. Regardless, the pressure to be a public-facing figure is high anywhere, but it's not nearly as intense or scrutinized as it is in South Korea. That might bristle certain influencers who feel they get unfairly criticized when they get revealed for being terrible fucking people, but they still have jobs, have supporters, have money. Look at the Cancel podcast, right? Can you imagine if something like that had been created in South Korea? Imagine that, but Korean. Tana Mojo and Brooke Schofield talking about, you know, doing sex acts outside a restaurant. Wouldn't happen, wouldn't exist in the first place. The companies for these K-idols make the rules, but the fans are the gatekeepers keeping these idols in line. If not, harassment, bullying, threats, unrelentingly 24/7. Idols aren't allowed to publicly date in case it ruins the fantasy that a fan could end up marrying their oppa. Much of the fandoms and public are complicit in this unrelenting pressure on their supposed favourite idols. They expect idols to be walking contradictions, sexy but virginal, entertaining but constantly showing gratitude, modest but always on and always performing. K-idols are treated like perfect machines but punished brutally the moment they exhibit real, messy humanity. Conversely, when real machines, AI girlfriends, virtual influencers, act too emotional or real, people get creeped out. It's strange how we treat idols like robots and robots like threats. We build simulacra and then get mad when they deviate from our own expectations. K-idols are under constant severe mental strain, knowing they could lose everything in just one negative article, association, or mistake. Even us Western fans are somewhat complicit. I'm saying all of this. I wrote this out. I'm saying all of this right now. I'm still going to finish The Silent Sea because Gong Yu, exists. Or does he? We'll circle back to that later. It's not just the idols who split themselves. The fans do too. Some people's whole identity is tied to these hyper-real projections. How many times have we seen those BTS Twitter accounts that do nothing but constantly tweet about how much they fancy Jungkook every day? So when an idol fails them by being human, they don't just feel disappointed. They feel personally betrayed. Because if your entire self is built around a simulation, what is left when it glitches? Can somebody say parasocial? Part 4. Corporate cowardice. I think what gets me about this is that the big corporations running these groups could shut down this behavior if they really wanted to. If the companies turned around and said, here are idols, sometimes they date, get messy, have a drink, do human shit, get over it, get used to it, we're going to stand by them no matter what you think. The audiences would have to get used to it eventually, and probably quicker than you'd think too. Humans adapt quickly. But the corporations treat their idols like shit, allow their idols to be abused, and drop them if the water gets even slightly warm. They aren't interested in the well-being of their stars because to them, the idols are products to export. And the moment the product gets faulty, into the bin it goes. Conclusion. The other self. Here's the part that I keep mulling over. It's been playing on my mind for 2 weeks now. What does this do to a person's mind? If your entire existence is curated, if every smile, outfit, sentence, and even your emotions are scripted, filtered, or rehearsed, where do you, the you that is you, the awareness behind your thoughts, where do you go? What happens to the authentic version of you when there's no space for them to exist? Who are any of these idols at 3 a.m. when no one else is around to perceive them? We are watching, in real time, psychological dismemberment, cognitive dissonance on a mass scale. In fact, idealist philosopher George Berkeley famously said, "Esse est percipi," to be is to be perceived. Like me, I did learn something from A-level philosophy, but I don't think that even in his wettest of dreams, why am I like this? Could he have imagined beings who are so constantly, relentlessly perceived that no other version of them is allowed to exist? Also, real talk, Berkeley is my ops. And when I see him in the afterlife, it is on site. What were you chatting about, fam? Absolute nonsense. I'm joking. The other philosophical bloke, Baudrillard, wrote, "We live in a world where there is more and more information and less meaning. These idols are saturated with meaning, millions of fans dissecting their expressions, their diets, their eye contact in interviews, and yet they're completely hollowed out on the inside. They're split in two. There's the self that lives and the self that performs. The self that performs gets love, money, and a lasting career. So what happens to the other self? The simulation wins. So, to conclude my video essay, leave TOP alone. TOP, if you ever see this on your burner account, just know I love you. You are my darling angel. You're such a misunderstood artistic boy, and you must be protected at all costs.
창작하신 분께 경의를 표합니다.
I am teetotal sober, have been for 6 years now, but I would absolutely break that for you. Let's go behind a Tesco and reclaim your weed smoking dignity. Oh, I'm gonna get banned from South Korea. Why do I do this to myself? Real talk, this is the perfect place to announce that I am so starting some sort of karaoke show. Let me know in the comment section if you would watch a karaoke show made by me and who you would possibly want on it. But I've already decided, because I'm delusional, TOP, you're so one of my season 2 guests. So, you know, get in touch, email me, message me on your burner account. Gong-yu once said himself in an interview, "They love my character, they don't love me."
But something clicked with the audience, didn't it? All these women fell in love with your character.
Yeah, character, it's not me.
And this stuck out to me. I wasn't even looking for this type of validation. It just came up naturally. So it stuck out to me because he's right and he knows it. He understands the cognitive dissonance, dichotomy, fractured self that he has to live every single day. The version we see in interviews is no longer Gong-yu. It's Gong-yu TM. This perfect simulation of masculinity, curated sadness, and cheekbone geometry. It's a beautiful hyperreal avatar built to make us feel something without ever truly being real. He's not Gong Ji-chul the person. He's Gong-yu the brand. Always on. Never gets to switch off. And maybe that's the worst part of all of this. Not that the system is so exploitative, but that the simulation is so good, we don't really want to leave it. I am like Cypher in the Matrix right now, begging Agent Smith to plug me back in. Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss.
This video essay only really scratches the surface of this topic. Honestly, the more I dug into this, the more I realized that I want to write kind of a philosophical fiction book about this subject, about identity, image, and what it means to be real in an age of simulations. So, you know, watch this space. A potential philosophical fiction is in the works. If I ever finish my gender-swapped Bonnie Blue parodica smut first. Talk about fractured selves and the dichotomy of a person. Anyway, that's all for today's video. Let me know what you guys think of it. It's been on my mind for like weeks, so I had to get out there. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of baudrillard, simulacras, simulations, Gong-yu's cheekbones. Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I make new videos whenever I feel like it. Kind of doing this new thing of pop culture crossed with philosophy. Let me know how that's working out for you. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. And let me know if you guys would be interested in me doing a karaoke show. I mean, I want to do it for me anyway because I find it fun. But let me know if there's a marketplace for it. Yes, I am coming for James Corden's brand. Anyway, before I reveal too much, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. TOP, follow me on your burner account. I know it's out there. Come on season 2 of my show that I've not even made a pilot for yet. I've not even bought the cameras or microphones for yet. Anyway, check out my sleeping ASMR channel, my gaming channel, and my sloppy jobby channel. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.